What up, y'all? This is Hip Hop History, and we back with another recap. This is Smack Volume 2, the long-awaited rematch. You got Hollow the Dinanon, you got Arsenal the Rebel, and this was about as disappointing of a battle as you could imagine. At least I did. I don't know. I've been waiting for this rematch for a long time, and we don't got too many that mean anything. So yeah, this was a letdown. This whole event was like a pretty underwhelming. The reason for that, there was a huge delay, and with battle rap events, usually expect like an hour or two delay, and that's just a given. But the weird thing about this one is that the event started, so they set it off with Mike P and Young Cannon, and then mid battle they just cut the stream, and then there was like hours delay, and eventually, you get a tweet from URL TV, and they say, I read it in Beasley voice. We are under deliberate attack, and I was like, what? What does that even mean? Like, what are we talking about? I mean, I've never been attacked where it wasn't deliberate, so that made me laugh. But they explained like, oh, our stream was being hacked, so we intentionally cut the stream. So it wasn't a case that they had stream issues. They cut the stream on purpose. I guess they had to resolve that. So I don't even know what that means. Like, what it hacking? What, it was somebody bootlegging the event? Because that's not hacking. I don't know. But that's on them. Salute to them. They got to do what they got to do to protect their brand. And for me personally, like, I don't care. I'll wait. Like, I'll drop money on events every time just to show support. And us, like, salute to all the battle rap fans out there. We wait and we always deal with like bad streams, bad battles, and it is what it is. But we're kind of like crack fiends. Like, if they would have said we're gonna do this at midnight, and we'd say, all right, we'll be back in 8 hours. I'm sure you're like me, just chilling, smoking, drinking, and as long as there's fire battles to be had, we will wait. But not too many fire battles to be had. So let's get into the actual event, and we'll go battle by battle. Like I said, Mike P. Young Cannon, I can't do that justice. I only caught bits and pieces of it. They tried to replay some of it when the stream came back up, but I didn't even catch the whole thing. So, but we will do all the rest of the battles. So, first things first, you got Cortez, you got O-Red, and O-Red comes out with the belt. He got the champion belt, and I love it. I like that little bit of showmanship. So he got the belt over his shoulder, and he looks kind of like a wrestler. And whenever Cortez was rapping, he'd have the belt on his shoulder, just like watching him waiting. And when it was time for him to perform and go into his rounds, he'd pass the belt off to like the ring card girl, and every so often she would hold the belt in the air, when he was going in. It was funny, and it doesn't hurt that O-Red was killing it. Like, you could call this a body. I thought Cortez was pretty good. I thought he did well, but it was not enough for any round. O-Red was just too much for him every single round. So one thing I liked about O-Red, he was mixing in everything. He had good bars, he had jokes, he had a good performance, like delivery wise, everything. It was just a total package. And he had great closers. Like, I always talk about closers, and O-Red closed out every single round really strong. And so round by round, top of the first, Cortez sets it off. He freestyled too to start every round. Cortez, not because he had to, but because he was trying to, like, Cortez and O-Red, they're both cut from that cloth. They've been doing this a long time. I don't know how many people remember, but like O-Red was even on Grind Time. I remember PH booked them for like Grind Time East. They go back, So this was an interesting matchup. So here's Cortez. He's freestyling. He is from that era. He did a freestyle about like the stream delay and everything. And it was cool, but the thing is, like, nothing Cortez was saying was really hitting, and that was like the issue. Like, the room was just not giving it up for him, and so that was throwing him off. And now I feel like that, like, was in part, due to the stream, to that stream delay, that like just nobody was really into it. Like, these were kind of like the worst performances you'd see from all of them. Nobody had like a crazy day except for O-Red, and the crowd too. The crowd was like a little weird, I don't know if it was like favoritism or if everyone was just kind of like tired. It was just weird energy. It was like there was just a black cloud over this whole event. But so that was throwing Cortez off. Like, he'd have a fire line. Like, Cortez had he had some good lines, and no one was reacting except for Ored. Like Ored was looking at him like that was tough, that was fire. You know, he was trying to let him know like keep going in, like you're doing your thing, and you know maybe this battle will look better. You know when they drop the footage on cam and everything. But in that room, it was like you know definite body and you know so Cortez first was good, but it was kind of light. Now, Ored, he has a real strong first round, and he ends it with um, kind of predicting. You know how Cortez always does the, you know, thanks for reaching out, but wait till that third round. There's some things we need to speak about. So, Ored, smart move, you know, clever at the end of his first round. He puts in this whole like scenario, and he got this imagery of like Cortez is creeping around the house, and you know, Ored runs on, you know, he runs up on him with a gun. Cortez reaches out, you know, tries to grab the gun out of his hands, and Ored just starts firing shots through his hands, and he says, "That's for reaching out." And after that third round, you know, there's nothing to speak about. Like I forget exactly how we put it, but it was hard, and it was pretty much a perfect round. You know, Ored's up 1-0 clearly. Cortez comes back. He had a rebuttal. You know, like I said, he was freestyling to start off every round, so he had rebuttals in round 2 and 3. Probably Cortez's strongest round. His second round was pretty good, but again, like he was just not getting anything from the crowd. They were not reacting to anything, and so he would like run lines back because he thought he didn't hear them. He was hitting them with the wordplay, and it was like everyone heard him, but they just were not giving it up for him. So his second was good, but again, not enough. And Ovred came right back, took that second round pretty clearly. Probably like halfway through the round, you're already like, okay, Ovred's up 2-0. And another interesting thing that Ovred was doing was that at the end of his second and third round, like he did enough to beat Cortez in every round, and he had time left over where he could go in on other people, and that's exactly what he did. So towards the end of his second round, he started going in on Averb, who's standing there. You know, he had a battle that night too with TWORK, and so he was going in on Verb because Verb basically he put out something recently saying that ORED is like the fourth best in Jersey, and I don't know how you feel about that, but you know sometimes like they're interchangeable to me. Sometimes Red seems like he's the best in Jersey, maybe not the most popular. You know, Ars obviously legendary, status, but sometimes I think Red is nicer than Ars. You know, Suge he gets busy, Surf of course, but yeah, it is what it is. But so I guess O Red took exception to that, started going in on Verb, and he was basically saying like, who have you even bodied? Like, what's the last body you caught? And it was this long pause in the room, and then O Red just turns to Cortez and goes, "You ass, Cor," because that's when you realize like, oh, Cortez was his last body. Real clever, and that was like pretty much towards the end of his round. So he ended every round on a high note. Ored, excellent, excellent performance. We go to the third round, and this was probably Cortez's weakest round, and he just looked really defeated. Like I'm telling you, that crowd really played a part. But regardless, like even if the crowd was going crazy for Cortez, he just did not have enough to not even win one round. This was not close. Ored goes in the third. He got some good angles. He had like a whole thing with the whole Math Mook situation. Basically, he was telling Cortez like, why are you rapping about that? Like, why are you saying you gave Matt the burner to pistol whip Mook? Like, if you really did that, you wouldn't talk about it. Like, what part of the game is that? We don't do that, So I know you're not, real. He was saying if he got locked up, that he'd be more bitch than the T Top verse, and he just started screaming, bitch, bitch, in like T Top fashion. Hilarious. And again, he saved room to go in on someone else. So Allred started going in on DNA, and he had a line too that I thought was pretty slick. He said, let's see if St. John can handle this Red Storm. Of course, Big East bars. And I thought about that, and I was like, wow, it's funny. DNA and Allred have never battled, and it's been a long time. Definitely overdue. I wouldn't mind seeing that. So. And I'm not even the biggest DNA fan. I just think like their styles would mesh well. And regardless of what you think of DNA, like he goes in, every battle. He'll bring, 3 good rounds, and so does Ored. So this might be perfect timing for that battle. Ored took that round two, clear 3-0. You could call it a body, even if you don't call it a body. It's, if you're unbiased, 3-0. And also, like, this is one of those battles too where, like, going into it, I thought Cortez had a chance. I figured I probably would have leaned towards Ored if I did predictions, but I didn't really see this coming. And this is kind of one of those battles where you're like, wow, there really is levels to this, and Ored is on a higher level. Like, he's just better all around. And I'm glad that people are finally, starting to give it up, because he deserves that respect. Ored is nice, consistent, well rounded, and he definitely showed out tonight. So this might have been the battle of the night too, and it wasn't a great battle, but it was a great performance. But so let's keep it moving. We'll go to Nitty and John John the Don. Nitty sets it off. Not a great first round. He starts off kind of average. I don't know if Nitty slept on John John, but this is the worst Nitty I've seen in years. I haven't seen him do this poorly. He had like a couple haymakers here and there, but a lot of average bars, and we saw a few things from Nitty tonight that we're not accustomed to. And one of those things is a choke. He choked in that first round, and he did sort of like a fake choke in the middle of the first round, which made it even more awkward when he actually did choke. Because the fake choke didn't make much sense. I'm not a big fan of that anyway. Like, people have been doing that for years, and it does nothing for me. So average round, he chokes, leaves the door wide open for John John, and John John goes in. Uh, I'm not the biggest John John fan. I felt like most of the stuff he spit was light, but he was consistent, and he definitely got that first round. John John, he did more of, what he always does. Oh, okay, you did a scheme on space and the planets, right? Well, here's mine, and so he kind of builds off of Nitty's bars. How he left Earth, and all this stuff. It was good. Not great, but definitely more than enough to beat Nitty. So John John's up 1-0. Second round, Nitty, he turns up, and I don't mean with the bars, I mean with his aggression. He was just like projecting louder. I like that, because a lot of times you really see, people's strengths and like how they bounce back. So it was interesting to see like how's Nitty gonna react to choking. You never see him choke, and he tried to turn up, so I like that. But again, he had a good round. It was not great. A couple good bars here and there. You go to the bottom of the second, John John goes in again. Like I said, consistent. He had a consistent 3 solid rounds. I'd probably lean towards John John in that round too. But like I said, I'm not a big John John fan. Like, I'm just not crazy about anything he does, and like, there's just so many reaches, so many average bars I've heard before, and even bars that I haven't, like, that have similar bars that I've heard where they were a lot better from whoever said them originally, and then here's his spin on things, and it's like, whatever. You know, some bad bars, like he said something like, "Free Willy, I'm whale rounded." Whale rounded, like, do you like that? Like, I don't like that. Don't say, leave Free Willy out of this. This is he had another line too where he was like, he was trying to do like a Kurt Cobain thing, and he said, instead of Cobain, which he ended up rhyming with Soul Train, and that rhymes, but he said Cold Bang, and it's like, Cold Bang doesn't, that's not to reach, doesn't sound good. It doesn't flow right. Like, you get to lines like that, it's like you hit a speed bump, and you're like, wow, that was weird. That didn't sound good. Am I being petty? Like, I don't know. But I'm telling you, I'm just not a huge fan. But I give respect where respect is due, and I felt like John John edged that second. Although, if you're a big Nitty fan, you might say Nitty did enough. I didn't think he did. We moved to the third round, and again, we see something from Nitty we never saw before, where his third round was like a lot of jokes, and it worked surprisingly. That was Nitty's best round. It was funny. A lot of like little jokes here and there. He said something too, like, You even stole JD's name twice. I don't know. I liked it. I thought that was the only round Nitty took, in my opinion. John John's third was good too, but nothing crazy. I didn't. I don't know. I don't know what you expected from him, but I was kind of picturing, with this setting, I was imagining the John John that battled like B Magic, like that was kind of a similar um, room, and John John went in. Like I like that. I like when John John is like more aggressive, but he hasn't been that way in a long time, and so I don't know why I expect that. Not a great battle. This was not a great battle. Pretty disappointing with Nitty, of course. Um, but so I had it John John 2-1. I felt like he got the first two rounds. You could debate the second round, but if you're being unbiased, I feel like you got to see that as a clear win for John John. Uh, okay, moving along, we get to Top and Top to T Top and Big K, and this is the battle I was looking forward to the most. Like besides Hollow and Arsenal, I'm a big fan of both of these guys. T Top, as consistent as anyone. Big K has been nice, and the disappointment in this battle for me was Big K. Like I didn't think he showed up like I expected him to, especially since he hasn't been on URL since what was it, Rosenberg? It's been years, and I had Rosenberg beating him 2-1. So like you kind of compare that with Iron Solomon, where Iron's last performance was terrible. Like that Mook battle, that was torture to watch. And then Iron disappeared, and so when he finally came back to battle Nitty, he turned up. He came with like 3 fire rounds, and this is kind of what I expected from Big K. Like, all right, this is your long-awaited, back on Smack, time to show out, and it didn't do it for me. So we go into the first round. Big K's first kind of light to me. It was good though. He had a solid round, but it wasn't crazy. Definitely seen better K. In more recent battles. T Top goes. His first round is fire. T Top is just great at pacing himself too. He always he there's always a payoff. Like whatever he's leading into, it always hits for me for some reason. And this environment was perfect for him. This reminded me a lot of like the UFF, and the crowd is probably exactly the same too as UFF. It's just a crowd full of battle rappers. You got Nunu there, and URL staff. T Top Wig, he had a really good overall performance. I thought he took the first round clearly, and then we get into the second round, and Big K spits like a mixtape verse. Like nothing he said had anything to do with anything. It was indirect, and the second his round ended, the whole crowd just looked so confused. Like, well, what do we even watch right now? Like, what is this? It was a good verse for, like I said, for a mixtape. Like, if you were doing a track with Big K and he sent you that verse, that would have been fire. Yeah, definitely. But like mixtape verses just don't hit in battle rap, and I don't know why people think they could just slip them in. If you're not being direct, you're gonna have a hard time winning. That maybe this would have flew back in the day because that's what it was all about. You just spit your verses, whatever verses you got, but it was not. It reminded me of RBE, like when Big K battled Big Cannon, and that battle was debatable, and it was because of K's second round where he spit what seemed like a mixtape verse. So like I don't know what he thinks. Like, does he really think like I just need two direct solid rounds and I could throw in a throwaway round? Didn't make sense. T Top goes in, and his second round is crazy. He clearly got that round in my opinion. I got Top up 2-0. We get to the third round, and Big K starts with like jokes, and I like his sense of humor, so I thought it was pretty funny. Yeah, some stuff was hit and miss, but it's like he sets it off. It was kind of like the Dixie Chicks with the pixie sticks kind of steez. He said something like, "My fingers would smell like kitty litter if I gave him a titty twister," and it's like silly. Whatever. I laughed. I thought there was a lot of funny stuff in there, but it's just kind of one of those things where if you're not into that, you will definitely not like that round. That round was a lot of jokes, but I felt like that was even his best round, and I still don't even think that was enough to get that round. I don't know if Big K did enough. T Top, fire third. as he's spitting, you feel like this is pretty clear 3-0. If you want, you might be able to give K that third round. And another thing worth mentioning, T Top got cut off. You know, they called time on him on his second and his third round, and he was going in. So it's like you kind of want to know where he's going. Like I said, he paces himself, and there's always a payoff for what he's getting into. So he didn't get all his material off, and it still I felt was enough. I had top 3-0, maybe 2-1. And if you're like a huge Big K fan and you hate T Top, like if you just don't like T Top, you might try to argue K took the first and the third. But you'd be crazy to think that, and you'd definitely be biased. Big K did not do enough. This was pretty disappointing, and I don't know if he just slept on T Top. T Top is nice though. He's not the type of dude you could come into a battle and give rounds away because he's gonna take those rounds every time. You know, salute to T Top. He did his thing. Big K, you know, you got to come better than that. I like Big K. Everyone's talking this Big K versus Av. Like Av would smoke his boots if this is the Big K that's gonna show up, and we get that Av that's been going in the way he has. It would not even be close. So Big K, you got to step it up. I don't know what's going on with you, but I was not impressed. It was another battle where I was like, man, that's it. I don't know. So we move on. We got New Jersey Twerk and Averb, and New Jersey Twerk sets it off. Not a great first round. His first round was a little off. Like he seemed like his thoughts were like scattered. So it was affecting his performance. His performance wasn't all that crazy, and then he ends the first round with a choke, and you know it was not a good look. Then you get to Verb, and Verb had a good, he had a solid first round, but I was not crazy about Verb's performance here. I think Verb went into this battle with the strategy that Twerk is so aggressive, and he saw the way Twerk was with JC. So Averb, I think, went into this battle thinking, I can't match his intensity. So what I'm gonna do the complete opposite, and I'm gonna be really, really calm. I'm gonna try to break him down and expose why his style is not great, and then you'll think I won. But I don't think that's ever a good strategy. You're never gonna win a battle being like less aggressive. Like I guess unless you're goods, but that just does not work, you know. But with that said, I thought Verb clearly got that first round. That was not even close. Twerk's first wasn't great. Uh but we get to the second round, and Twerk really turned up. His second round was crazy. Twerk went in. It was the Twerk we saw against JC, and he had the room going crazy. That was a fire round all around. He really got it back. And like what I was saying with Nitty, like you want to see someone bounce back from a choke. Twerk bounced back like that. That was a crazy round. You get back to Verb, and Verb felt that pressure. Like his second round was light, wasn't as good as his first, and it was definitely 1-1 going into that third. Third round, like if you thought Twerk's second was good, his third was even better. Twerk went crazy in the third round, and the probably the highlight of that round is that he finally took that hood off at the end of the round, and you see why he keeps the hood on. He looked like the Danny Meyer's uncle or something. He looks crazy. Definitely balding. Definitely weird shaped head. But it was fire the way he set that up and the way he delivered it. He had like a scenario where basically he was saying like random ball Verb shot him, and he didn't even recognize the killer, and the hood was off. Like basically because Verb is dead. So the room went crazy. This was like the biggest highlight of the night. Big room shaker. Everyone came running out. Calico, Tay Rock, they're like dapping up Twerk, giving him love. Like it was like the battle was over, but like people forgot there was still that bottom of the third with Calm Aver, and so everyone kind of settled down, and then we're like, oh yeah, we got another one of these Verb rounds, and Verb's third was extra light. I don't know, he had some weird angles. He was trying to he had this whole angle basically saying, I've seen Twerk. like early footage, and he wasn't aggressive, and your whole style changed. Like you clearly studied all of us. You took all of our strong points and meshed it into like one style that you call your style, but you bit all of us. And it's like, I don't know, I was not feeling that angle at all because it's like Verb of all people, like he changed. Like Verb style is completely different nowadays. Twerk is fairly new, so it's like he is original. Like his style is unlike anyone's. We've seen people try to do what Twerk does after Twerk came out, but it's like mostly people from his camp. So I don't know, wasn't feeling that. That angle worked into like this whole angle where Verb was saying he's seen his rap sheet and how he snatched the purse, and trying to explain how we don't respect purse snatchers. It was not hitting. It was a really weak round. It was his worst out of all three, and it was because of that approach that he had. Like that. I just don't understand why he went that route. It did not work. What would have been good is if we had that old A Verb, the one that really turned up. Like even his showtimes, like he'll get into the so it's showtime, and then it's like he's calm again. Like, oh, so he's like he's not even rapping. Like that's what bothers me about A Verb. You gotta rap. Like this is a rap battle, and I know Verb is like golden boy to a lot of people, and this is why he gets worse. Like as fans, you can't be serious. Like you can't really tell me like you enjoy these performances compared to what you saw in the past. Like Verb was one of the greatest ever. When he was in his prime, Verb was amazing. This is so far removed from that Verb. He doesn't even rap anymore. He's just talking. He just talks through his whole rounds. It's not much of a rhythm, little bit, but not much. Because you're not gonna have a real rhythm when you're not rapping, And I'm hard on anyone who does that. Like worldwide, like all these leagues around the world, you got people that'll come out, and they just don't get it. Like there's a certain like art at emceeing where you got to captivate that crowd with the way you rap, and Verb, I don't know what he's doing up there. I'm not impressed. Also, like his references, like I feel like every battle he's talking about Star Trek Enterprise and Simba. It's like what do you just watch Lion King all day? Like what's going on, Verb? And some of his like he called Twerk Ladybug, and it's like I don't know, is that slang from the Lou? Like I've never called another man a ladybug. I don't even know what that's supposed to mean. I don't take that as anything. I don't even know if that's insulting or what. But bottom line, I had Twerk 2-1. I thought Twerk got the second and he got the third. If you're one of those people that think like if you choke in a battle, you lose the whole battle, then you'd say Verb won. But aside from that, I don't know. I don't look at it that way. I think if you choke in a round, you lose that round, depending on how the other person was. But again, not a great battle. Like I did like I like Torque second and third. Verb was good. Verb wasn't bad. Like if you like this new Verb I'm like talking about, where it's like he's not hype, he's not intense. He's trying to be really like psychoanalytical and like break down his opponent slowly, and it does nothing for me. Like that, this just doesn't. There's so many dry spots, and when he gets dry, it's not good because the a lot of times like you could cover up not great rapping with really good performing. So if you decide I'm not even gonna perform, I'm just gonna talk. I'm gonna give you some spoken word rounds. Those dry spots are really dry. Like that just doesn't stand out. You got to turn up, Verb. And I saw him already like making excuses right away. Like, oh well, you might think I lost, but my fans are gonna say I won. So yeah, and so that's my whole point. Like that's why he does what he does, because there's all these like dick riders who are gonna say Verb, oh that was great. I don't know, and if you legitimately think that's great, fair enough. Verb was in whack. I didn't think he was whack. He had good material, but I just do not like the way he performs anymore. It's really uninteresting, very boring. 3 rounds from Verb, some good material in there, is not delivered well. Um, so we move on, and before we get into the main event, we got an announcement. Smack, we got Gnome. For our first Gnome announcement, you got Goods and you got Tay Rock, and On paper, I'm not really feeling that matchup. But you look at some of these matchups in this event, like T Top and Big K on paper looks great, and then you end up with a battle like this. So you never know. Goods and Rock might end up being good, but wasn't anything I was too excited about. And I don't know. Smack's funny. Like Smack, he's asking each one of them like, "How you feeling?" And he was doing that all night. It's just hilarious to me. Like Smack does so many unintentionally funny things. Like he before every battle performed, every battle rapper performed that night, he'd be like, "How you feeling? How you feeling?" And the battle rapper would be like, "Good, I'm good." Like, Smack, I'm in battle mode. Like I'm ready to go in, and he's asking him like, so how are things? How's your day? How's the family? It's like that type of vibe. I don't know, really weird. It was just weird. But so he did that with Goods and Rock. So that's the thing. Like Goods and Rock come out, and we're supposed to be excited, but like neither of them are saying anything, and so Smack's kind of like, so Goods, how you feeling? And Goods is like, good, of course. And then he asks Rock like, so what's up, Rock? What are we doing? How you feeling? And Rock's like, how you feeling? Great. So it's like whatever. I don't know. It just wasn't that exciting. You got Yak Man come out, and this was like even he seemed off. Like that's how like this event was just off, and he had no intensity. That was like the most saddest Al Capone cigarello speech I ever heard. He was just like really like, yeah, hand rolled, table menu, whatever. Let's go. Let's get into the next battle. It just wasn't there was no intensity, there was no excitement there, and of course that leads into like one of the least exciting battles, on the card. You got Hollow and Arsenal, and I was excited going in, but so let's get right into it. Hollow first round, he starts off kind of slow, and thing is too, like with Hollow gets a lot of flack from battle rap fans about like his voice cracking and all those like awkward Hollow moments, with the weird inflections and cadences and stuff. So if you're not feeling that Hollow, you're probably not gonna feel, his performance tonight. I don't mind it. I like Hollow all around, and I feel like that just comes with it. But so if you're not feeling that, you're not gonna feel what Hollow brought to the table in this battle. And then you got Arsenal. Like Arsenal was in his Squidward's clarinet bag. Like that's what you could expect from this performance. It was a lot of filler, a lot of like nonsensical things, but like conviction. Like Ars was going nuts with the performance. He was really aggressive, but he wasn't saying shit, So it's like that doesn't really hold up. Like I see past that. Like I'm not the type of person who's just like, wow, that guy's really loud. He must be winning. And it's like, nah, like, but what is he saying? So it was that type of performance from Ars. I mean, I'll get more into it later. But so Hollow set it off. Like I said, first round, he starts off real slow, and it's some good bars. He got some good bars in there, but it's like kind of underwhelming. You're like, really, like this, after all these years, like this is what you got. But then he sort of backs into the crowd, and it looks like he got something like a little trick up his sleeve, and he ends up throwing on the old Yankee jacket he had from the Fight Club battle, and he comes out and he just turns up. Like the minute he put that jacket on, the second half of his first round was fire. He just really went in. Um, I probably can't do it justice, but he had like this. He was getting into like that more horrific, like sadistic type of Hollow. Like he had this one line, and the way he performed it, he said something like "nail both feet into the ground and slap box you," and just the way he did it with his hands and everything, it was a A1 Hollow. That second half of his first round was crazy, and the first half was good, not great. So that might go into how you call that round, and then get into Ars's round. And like I said, he was on his Squidward's clarinet, Steve. That in this whole battle, it was just like 3 rounds of, I don't know, weird material. He said something like before the shot, Nigel, after the shot, Herman Munster, and that led into like this. You think a Smurf hit you because the way your face blew off. It's terrible. Like this is just really bad, like third grader type of material. It's not good. I wasn't impressed. Arsenal really aggressive, like I said, and the one thing, towards the end of his first round, I guess I don't know if it was a freestyle or what, but he ended up going like kind of behind Hollow, and he brought back like the leg drop. I don't know if you remember that classic line from him with the Hulkamania leg drop. But so he kind of slammed into Hollow, like into his shoulder, like he chest bumped his shoulder kind of from behind, and Hollow pushed him, and Ars let that go. So it was kind of like fair enough. Like I bumped you, you pushed me, we're good. It is what it is. And then he ended up finishing his first round. Like I said, nothing crazy. Like I'd lean towards Hollow in that first round. Second round rolls along, and Hollow second, he starts off. He's going in. Hollow second was real good until we get. He had a whole thing. Like it was kind of like paying homage to J Mills round against Ness, like with the whole fuck this, fuck that type of round. But he did it in a clever way, and he was going at Arsenal like real disrespectfully, going in on his kid, on his baby's mother, all that, and you know, good, real solid round. I really liked Hollow's second, but till we get to this point, so Hollow's doing this kind of like Outcast bombs over Baghdad bar, and he's swinging his arms round and round, and he got real close to Ars, and he kind of slammed into him. The way I saw it was he was trying to get some get back from round one when Ars bumped him, but I felt like he already did when he pushed him. So like I don't know, I just didn't feel that was necessary. But at the same time, hey, everyone's different. You shouldn't be bumping people in the first place. So this is how Hollow handled it, and he figured, listen, you're not gonna bump into me. Like I'm gonna bump back into you. But it's that so much time had passed. Like we're already into the second round now. That happened in the first round. And so it's like now you're bumping him. So, that then it unfolds. So he bumps into Arsenal. Arsenal goes to push him back. Hollow swipes his hands away as to like not let him push him back. But Arsenal reaches out again and pushes him pretty hard, back to his side of the stage. And then that's when, there was like a bit of a melee. Wasn't anything too crazy though. It's like Hollow and Ars are both professionals. I think they genuinely do not like each other, so there's definitely animosity there. But it didn't seem like anything was gonna pop off. If anything, maybe the camps, something might happen with them. Um, but it was just a weird scenario. You got Nunu. Like I felt like Nunu made things even worse because she's like flipping out. She's like, "Are you serious? Are you serious?" She's the way I saw it is that she was treating Arsenal like, how dare you come here with UW and disrespect like the URL brand? Like you'll see what I mean, when you see it. It was a little extra. Like I don't know why she took such offense, but it might have also been. I think there was like someone from Arsenal's side that was like, I think he spit. I don't know if he spit on Smack. I think that's what Nunu was trying to say. So Nunu was calling Beasley like, Beasley, come over here. It was just so awkward and embarrassing. It was like Nunu looked like a mother that couldn't handle like her badass kids, and she's like reaching out to any grown man that's willing to come and like help, like resolve this issue. But there wasn't even really an issue. It was fine. They weren't looking to fight. People got in between pretty fast. Nothing happened, and nothing was gonna happen. So that just added to it. It just seemed unnecessary to me. Charlie Clips, of course, peacemaker extraordinaire. He's in the middle of it. He jumps in right away. Chill, reminiscent of like Diz and Math, and salute to Charlie Clips. Like he did a great job of just dissolving any kind of tension. Cause they're setting up to go back in again, and Clips just says real loud, like, "Me and Good's mom, we argue like that all the time." Yeah, it was just hilarious. Everybody laughed. It was fine. Another weird thing, there was the timekeeper whispered to Hollow, like, "I stopped you at 2:40," and I guess they were 3-minute rounds, cause it seemed like Hollow didn't have much left. It seemed like there was just like 20 seconds or so, so that would make sense. But how much can you spit in 20 seconds? So Hollow's second round didn't end great. Um, but the majority of his round was fire, before that little scuffle or whatever you want to call it. So I don't know. I thought that was like a pretty solid round from Hollow, minus the ending. And then you got Ars in his second round, and he kind of had like a stumble, like a mental lapse, like he just stopped. And Hollow's like, "You choking?" And he's like, "No, I'm not choking." And but it seemed like he was like Because what he said after that kind of sounded like a freestyle, and it barely even rhymed. I don't know. I don't know if Arsenal prepared that material, but it wasn't great. It was weird. He had an angle too. He was going in on like basically Hollow's being like disloyal, with the whole math situation and how could Hollow battle on that Boston card and all that. But like the funny thing about that angle is that R seemed more mad that Hollow battled in front of white people for white people. It's a lot of crackers in that round, and it didn't really make sense with his angle. Like, what does that really have to do with math and his loyalty to math? Like, it was more about the fact that he battled Diz, not that he battled for organic for a Boston crowd. You know what I mean? Like, that didn't really add up because when you think about it, Arsenal's battled on KOTD for his whole career. Like, he was one of the first people that came over and battled Pat, and then kind of opened up that wave of people coming over. He battled on Don't Flop like a million times. He's one of their like highest viewed battlers. Like, he's battled for like the crackerest of crackers. I don't even know how to put it. Around the globe. Some of the goofiest crowds you'll ever see. So I don't know. Like, what does that even mean? Like, what are you getting at? Like, it didn't make sense. Like, are you talking about disloyalty to your race or to math? Because if it's about the race, like, look at you know what I mean? But if it's about math, like, maybe he should have just focused in on that, because there's a lot to talk about when it comes to that. Like, Hollow's been vilified, like, for that whole scenario, and I get it, and I think it's kind of messed up. But the thing is like, you don't really know. Like, you don't really know that situation unless you're close to it. Like, you can't tell me you don't got friends like I have over the years. I've had so many snakes, like, and it is what it is, and you learn from that. But there's people that I just don't. I don't got that. Like, after a certain amount of time, you just kind of grow apart, and it is what it is. So with Hollow and Math, like, I always looked at it as like, maybe Hollow just doesn't, he just doesn't mess with him like that anymore. They're not tight, so why would there be loyalty? You know what I mean? I don't know, but I don't know. I'm not close enough to that scenario to even give you a real, opinion. Um, it looks bad though from the outside looking in, so that's my whole point. Like, Ars could have really went in on that angle, and he just didn't. A lot of weird, random stuff in his bars. Really bad closers in every round. Like, every Ars round ended with like a that's it kind of reaction. Like, just didn't make sense. So we get into the third round, and Hollow's third wasn't great to me. I felt like that was his weakest round. Um, then Ars's third wasn't great either. So that round was really a toss up. Might even lean towards Ars for that one, but again, like, not a great closer. I feel like he might have stumbled again too in that third. Um, and the battle just ended on kind of like a weak note. Like, that third wasn't great, and even going into that third, like, I was already kind of bored with the battle. It really did not live up to expectations. Hollow had some decent material in there. So did Ars, but it was not vintage Hollow or Ars. Like, you had moments, but overall, not great. Not a great battle, not a great event. So for this battle, I'd say Hollow 2-1, maybe even 3-0, but I'd say 2-1, and I'm not like a super duper Hollow fan. I like Hollow, but I like Ars too. So yeah, just being unbiased, like, I feel like Hollow pretty clearly got the 2-1. If you're like a hardcore Ars fan, you'll probably argue he got it. And I guess it also depends on what you value. Like, if you don't care about what they're saying, you might just base it on performance. Like, Ars was definitely aggressive. If you really like that, like, you might think he won, but he wasn't really saying enough. At least not in my opinion. He had some direct bars, a lot of indirect bars, a lot of stuff where it's like, I get the references, but this is just not great. It sounded more like a freestyle, like a more like mixtape bars, like the same thing that I was saying about Big K. Like, those type of verses are not gonna fly in a battle where you got somebody who crafted these rounds specifically for you. It's just never gonna match up. You could have the craziest verse. like for a song that is just not going to hold up in a battle. So that was kind of that vibe I was getting from Ars that whole battle, and I just didn't think it was enough. This was just not a good rematch. This was underwhelming event all around, and it is what it is. That's how it goes in battle rap. But that's my recap. Let me know what you think. Let me know if you agree, disagree, who you had winning, for these battles, and let me know why you think you had who you had winning. Like if you disagree with me, let me know. I'm always happy to go back and forth, and I respect people's opinions. So feel free. We got some debates and whatnot. So thanks for listening. You enjoyed the video, subscribe. I'll have a lot more content on the way. Battle rap stuff, but probably more hip hop stuff in general. So talk to you guys soon. Peace.